Well, let's bring in Toby Walsh now, who's Chief Scientist at the UNSW AI Institute. He joins us now from Sydney, Australia. Welcome to the program, Toby. I want to ask you about Manus in a moment, but first, do you see AI as a real driver of mass unemployment, or is it more accurate to say that it'll reshape work and create new types of jobs rather than eliminate them altogether?
Well, the good news or the bad news is it's going to do both of those things. We're already starting to see the way it's starting to take jobs away. Even successful tech companies like Meta, that we're about to talk about, they've just announced that they're going to lay off 10% of their staff. So despite all the success of that business, they're using these new agentic tools to improve their efficiency. And so we are going to see jobs taken away by AI. Equally, as you said in the first report, people are making new businesses dependent upon those AI tools themselves.
And with AI dramatically lowering the cost of starting businesses, how does the economy change when one person can now produce output that once required an entire team?
You're right. That's a really that's a really significant change to the economy. AI is, in that case, a superpower. Previously, you could start a business, you would have to hire someone to do the marketing, you'd have to hire someone to do the accounting. Well, now you can have some agentic AI tools that do all those things. So, I've got colleagues discussing when are we going to see the first unicorn, a company worth $1 billion that has just one employee. We've never had those efficiencies before. So that is going to possibly reduce significantly the number of people who are employed, even if we're still generating just as much value from all those businesses.
So if anyone with a laptop can now launch a company, does that potentially flood the market and make it harder for these small one-person firms to actually stand out in the crowd and succeed?
It's an interesting question, which is just because you can doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get the attention. There's so many other companies competing for the same space, for the same consumers, for the same eyeballs. So yes, it's going to make it that much more competitive, I think, to start a business because so many more people can now do it. So whilst the tools mean that you can do this stuff more efficiently, you can start a business, I'm not sure that actually starting a business is going to be any easier because it's probably going to be that much more competitive.
Now, we are seeing cities like Suzhou in China investing heavily in small AI-driven setups. Do you see this as a sustainable long-term growth strategy or more of a short-term response to the current labour market pressures that China is facing?
No, I see this as a long-term shift of jobs, a shift of jobs into new types of jobs, into smaller businesses because they can be more efficient, they can be more agile. That's one thing we know about AI. It's all about being agile, and a small business can be that much more agile. In fact, the legacy businesses, they've got all of this inertia in them, are perhaps going to struggle to keep up with the rate of innovation of these smaller businesses, these AI-powered businesses that can move so much faster than the old dinosaurs can.
Toby, let's talk about Manus now. Well, what does Beijing's decision to block Meta's acquisition of the Chinese startup signal about China's broader strategy toward foreign involvement in advanced AI technologies?
Well, we definitely ended up with two different internets. There's the internet that is in the West, and there's the internet behind the Great Wall of China. And I suspect we may end up with two AI worlds as well, which is the AI world that is developed in the West and the AI world that's being developed in China. China is being suitably protective of their AI businesses, and so I can see it being very hard to compete in both spaces, and that we will perhaps end up in a similar sort of space where there are quite different AI businesses in China that are protected by the Chinese authorities that also toe the Chinese line, and quite a different set of businesses in the West where the free market is more in play.
Okay, Toby Walsh, really good to get your thoughts. Thank you again for joining us.